Hello everyone, my name is Anish Chana and you are watching Docker web series. As of now, we have successfully completed first three topics and today I will cover our fourth topic, that is Docker command. In this topic, we will learn difference between management module and command, how to create a container, difference between create and run command, when we use background and foreground option with run command. In the lab section, we will learn how to create a container. After that, we will learn how to create, start, and attach the container, image pull for different versions, how to list the running and shutdown container, and in the last, how to delete the container. So in the command line, first command can execute docker hyphen hyphen help. When we execute this command, it produces two output, management command and command. So what are the difference between management command and command? In the management command section, we have multiple commands available. We have container, image, network, and so on. Each these commands have subcommands option available to use. For an example, if we want to list running a container, we can execute command docker container ls. And if we want to list the shutdown container also, then we may execute command docker container ls space minus a. Further, if we want to create a container, then we would execute docker container create command. In short, we can say that inside this container management command, we have grouped the commands logically. On the other hand, in the command section, we have multiple commands available such as cp, create, def, event, export, history, and so on. Here, we have one option that we can use. For an example, if we want to create a container, we may execute docker create instead of docker container create. So these are the flexibility provided by Docker. So let's focus on management command first and pick one management command, that is container. In the command line, we can execute command docker container hyphen hyphen l. It produces the output like this and also provides some options. Attach, commit, cp, create, def, exec, export, and so on. All these options are related to container only that we can use. As you can observe here, sub command create and run. Both commands are used to create a container. So let's focus on this because our first topic is how to create a container. So this is the URL that I fetch all the information for my PPT. There are two options, create and run. Create a new container, only create. And if we use run option, then run a command in a container. So first it will create the container and then execute the command. So create the container only. It means it will create container and do nothing. Further, if you want to execute, the command would be docker container create. When you will list the container docker container ls command, you will observe status create only, and this is what we will do in the lab section. If you want not only create but also start the container, then you can use run command. Further, if you want to execute shell command after after container start, then again we can use the docker run command. Obviously, other options we will use and I will cover today. What option we can use with the run command? So run command has more power than create command. So this is the reason people use run instead of create command. So docker container run and then options image, and image I will cover in the last of today video. So let's explore more options. In the Docker container run having two options. Docker container run having two options, background and foreground. Whenever we execute a command, it will show you the one of this command is finished. It will bring back to you in the host machine prompt option, not inside the container. So before creating the container, we should know if we want to log in, if we want to only create and start the container or also log in inside the container. It means if we want to log in inside the container, we use foreground mode. And if we do not want to log in inside the container, then we will use background mode. To start a container in the detached mode, you can use -d. Detached mode means background mode. So we can use -d equal to true or just use -d command. option. It first start the container and then execute the command, and after that shut down or keep the container in running states. Further, often we use rm command with -d option. The newly created container will be removed when it exits. This option is useful when we do the testing and our container is working as expected. It means I want to check some parameter inside this container. For an example, if I want to know what is predefined in the etc file in the current image, then I may use the command docker container -d -rm -name my web server and nginx. It will first create a container, name my web server, then start the container. After that, it execute the command cat etc resolve, and in the last, it will delete the container. It will remove the container also. So think about it, only within 1 minute you know what is inside the container. So let's move ahead in the Linux. Whenever we execute a script, we take the input for variable from terminal that we call std in. And when the script produces the output, we call standard output std out. And if the script gives some error, we call std error. Right. So now you need to think about this philosophy and concentrate on our next topic for the foreground mode so that you can understand better. We are running a container. We are running a container in a foreground mode. In this mode, Docker run may start the process, and to control these process, we may need a terminal to execute command. So we use option -i. Here comes standard input stdin. For standard out and standard error, we use -a option to attach the standard out and standard error. So here's comes the standard in. So here's comes the standard out. And if we want to produce the error, capture the error, then we may use standard error, right? So by default, -a option is there. In some cases, we use -a option only to add standard error. In this case, it override the default setting. So when we running a container in a foreground mode, in this mode, Docker run may start the process, and to control these processes, we may need a terminal to execute commands. So we use -i option. So when we create a container, first it download the image. I understand that image word is new for you. We use predefined, pre-configured image. For an example, if we want to run nginx container, then I will use nginx image. We may download the Ubuntu image first and then configure the Nginx configuration on the top of Ubuntu OS. In order to install the Nginx, we may need some extra packages. However, in Nginx image, it already super lightweight. It means all the extra packages are already removed. This is the reason we use Nginx image if we want to create Nginx container. All these images are free on hub.docker.com, and I will come up with the separate session for the Docker Hub. For the moment, you can think about it. You can search any Nginx or any image from here and download it. You can also sign in into this website. So let's move to our lab section and where we will learn all these stuffs. So I have started my Docker VM. Let me log in into that, into this machine. And as you can remember that we have to use Anish user, normal user. Your root login is prohibited. Let me switch user to root here. So very first command I would like to execute here as docker image ls. So this is the management command image. So here I just want to check if I have already downloaded some image or not, because it's a fresh VM. So as you can see here, there is no image available here. And I will cover this topic. So just want to show you that there is no image here as of now. So our first topic is the difference between create and run command, right? So let me execute the first command, docker container create, and hyphen name is container one, and I'm giving -i is terminal, and Ubuntu image I'm using. I'm just creating a one term container here with the name of container one. So hyphen hyphen name we can give for the container name so that I can identify. So let me hit enter, and as you can see here that unable to find image locally, so it will pull the image from Docker Hub. So now as you can see here, it took very less time to create the container. So let me grab minus A. Minus A option is to list the running and shut down container. And I can see here that my container is created and the name of the container is Ubuntu. And if I'm not using grep option, so I can see here only one container is created. The container name is container1. And as you can see here, the status is created, not started. It's 41 minutes ago it started. So in order to start this container, I need to use container docker container start and then followed by container name or container ID. So let me execute this command again, container ls hyphen a. So now as you can see here, this is up. And if I want to go inside this container, then I need to use docker container attach command. To start the container, I need to use container start command. Now I'm inside the container. So I can execute df space minus h command here. So it shows my host machine output here. So let me exit from here. When I press exit, this container will shut down. Let me show you here. And if I remove hyphen a option here, I don't see. Okay, and if I use minus a option, then I will see. So as I said that ls is showing only the running container list, and here it will list all the container whether it's running or in exit status. Exit status mean it is in shutdown mode. So let me start this container again, and this time I'm start this container with the help of container ID, not with the container name. So this is again it started. So container attach is the command and then container ID. So I'm again inside the container. So now as you can see here, I'm again inside the container here with the help of container ID instead of container name. So there are two ways. So let me press exit here to exit the container. See, this is the options. ls space minus la. I don't see this container name here. Okay, so now let's move ahead with run command instead of create. So here I'm using docker container run. Hyphen it is for giving the terminal and tty, and then hyphen hyphen name container one and Ubuntu. I'm using Ubuntu image, and bash is the command prompt I will get once it creates. So it will not only create the container, but it will start the container and give me the prompt inside the container as you can see here. So I can press df space minus h command here. Let me press exit, and as you can see here, this in exit status, right? And if we want to log in inside this container again, what I can do here, I need to start, and this time the container ID would be changed. So I'm just using the container name here. So if I press Control PQ, I will exit from the container. And if you list the ls space ls only, so you will see the running status. So when you press Control P and Q, it will not shut down the container. The container process is running in the background mode. So still my container is running. So let's remove this container again. So docker container rm. This time it should give the error. Why? Because rm command is not supposed to delete the running container. So if you want to delete this container, first you need to shut down this container, or you should use minus F option. F is for forcefully. So now as you can see here, it is deleted. And if I list the, so ls command is to list the container here. And if I execute this command again, docker image ls, I should see one image, that is Ubuntu, because we have created the container with the help of Ubuntu image. So let me create one new container. If I'm not giving the name, hyphen name, if I execute docker container run Ubuntu, that's it. By default, it will be minus D option. As I said that with run, it will use minus D as a default if you are not giving any options here. So it says that Ubuntu 14.04 is not found locally, so it will download from the Docker Hub page. As you can see here, it take very less time to create the container and run the container as compared to VM, virtual machines. And also it depends upon your network speed. If your speed is good, it will take less time, and if it find the image locally, it take very less time. We can check the image ls command, and as you can see here, it is saying latest, and the other image we have downloaded 14.04, and it was created 12 months ago, nearly 1 year ago. So let me container ls command here, and I don't see any here commands, and it is in shutdown states. So let me use minus a, and as you can notice here, it gives the fancy name. So my Docker engine provide the name, fancy name here. So we are giving the name so that we can remember our containers. So let's remove this container. I just want to keep my machine fresh. Docker container rm, and then name of the container. It is deleted now. Execute this command, docker container run Ubuntu, and let me show you that how much time it take. So I'm just using date command here so that we get to know how much time it take if the image is already available locally. So as you can see here, it took less than 1 second to create the container, and it isn't. So let me execute this command again here. Execute again. It take less than 1 second. Around 1 second it takes. And if I press ls-a, I will see the different names here. One option I can use here if I want to delete all the container in a single shot. So there would be one command, that is aq. So list aq is for list the container ID only. And we know the docker container rm is the command. So I just use dollar here, and in the bracket I'm using this command and close this command here. If I press here, it will delete all the container in a single shot. As you can see here, there is no container available. All containers are removed. Danger command, but yes, you should know if you're working on lab how to remove the container in a single shot. So let's create a one new container with the name of container one. So I'm just using run and it. So provide the terminal here, and name is container one, and using Ubuntu image here. Container. So this time I'm using container two, and use here D option here. Let me clear the screen first. So as you can see here, it gives the output of the container ID, but this time I'm not inside the container, I'm outside the container. And if I press Ctrl A, so both containers are my up and running. And how to check the process of these container? So if I execute ps command, so docker container ps is for process ID. So it shows the same command ls space la. It will show you, okay, these are the containers are running ps command. Okay, let me clear the screen and execute this command and hit enter. It says that the inside etc resolve.conf file, this is my name server IP address here. And so I hope you understand where I need to use minus g option, where I need to use it option. and where I need to create or delete the options. So now we have completed our lab. So let's move forward. How to stop the container? So there is a command stop and pause and unpause. So there is a big confusion between stop and pause. So let's understand what are the difference between pause and stop options. In the pause, we have a different URL, and for the stop, we have a different URL in the Docker website. So you can go through it. In the pause, the Docker pause command suspend all the process in a specified container. On Linux, this use freezer C group. So sig stop. So sig stop is the signal name. So sig is for stand for signal and stop is for stop. So stop signal, its behavior is to pause that process. So when this signal sent to the process, it paused that process in a current state and resume execution if it's sent to sig count signal. It means signal continuous signal. On the other hand side, the main process inside the container will receive sig term, and after a grace period it send the sig kill. So sig term and the time is minus t20. We can use minus t20 or the default time is 10 second. So first signal it send terminate signal, then it wait for 10 seconds by default, and then it will send the kill signal. So sig term is for signal and term is termination. Its behavior is to terminate the process. The sig term gracefully kill the process, whereas sig kill means kill signal kill the process immediately. In pause, container would be remain in memory portion till it is in pause state. It will use the memory portion again if we unpause this container. However, with the stop option, it release the memory used once container is stopped. Use case would be pause the resources which do intensive tasks that can be resumed after some time. So let's suppose in one host there are 5 containers which are consuming more CPU cycles. So we can pause them for some second, for some time, and then unpause it. And pause option could be used in future for live migration of container from one host to another. So it is in future. Right now this option is not available. Use case would be to stop the container if no use. So obviously if we don't want to use this container, we can stop it right away. I hope you find a basic difference before starting the Docker course. In my upcoming slides, we will talk about network, how the Docker engine assign the IP address to the container, and how we can check the IP address of these containers. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to get new updates.